Summer is coming and the sun is shining, shirts are off and your balls are smooth. You heard that. Producer Chris is getting used to going live. He doesn't do a lot of it. Welcome to XG Files. We've got Dre, we've got Ronaldo, we've got myself. We're going to be talking about Todd Boehly and his shit ideas. We're probably going to do an entire video looking into probably him and the history of American owners in the Premier League. And I'll give you a bit of a spoiler alert. It ain't been good at all.
Weren't pretty, would it?
It's got a little bit of a history of absolutely fucking blowing, in all honesty. However, as a bit of fun, because let's be honest, there's no United this weekend. There is a Paddock game if you're in the Northwest tomorrow, though, if you want to come and watch that. As a bit of fun this weekend, we thought, do you know what? We will do our own take on this All-Star thing. Ultimately, I think it's an idea that'll never get off the ground. And I like how he tried to was like, oh, let's raise money for the rest of the pyramid. Listen, mate, you're looking at £1 billion worth of players or more that are going to feature in this thing. The Premier League clubs aren't going to be like, yeah, we'll just pay the wages for that week and watch them get injured so we can give the money to Luton.
Yeah, and where are they going to squeeze it in?
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, when's that going to happen? So I don't think the All-Star game is a feasible thing. That being said, it's not unlike the FA to try and shoe on some shit like this in at some point. So, that being said, Dre's going to pick a winner. Me and Ronaldo are going head-to-head. He's got the South.
I'm so upset I got the South.
Did you flip the coin to decide? Or?
No.
There's nothing, listen, there's nothing good South, mate.
So, I've got the North. Ronnie's got the South. And as a courtesy, I'm going to let Ronnie give you his losers first.
Give me my losers.
What you got, Ronnie?
All right, so first off, Steve hasn't done, but we're going to talk about the actual rules. We're only allowed to pick two players from each club, which made this really difficult because I only realised about 5 minutes before I came downstairs I picked 3 players for the same team, and then I had to change it. But anyway, I've gone for, in goal, I've gone for Brighton player. Actually, I'm going to talk about manager first. Manager, David Moyes. West Ham.
Moyes.
He's definitely overachieved, but I feel like even though the wheels are borderline falling off at the moment, I think for what he's done...
Cal, just come in here a sec.
What he's done for an actual West Ham team, with the likes of Antonio up front, who I don't overly rate, and how he's kind of transformed into not necessarily a powerhouse, but a club that's in European football and seems to be improving. You know, they've had a lot of money invested, obviously new stadium, spending a lot on players. Who just bought Skamaka, who looks talented, but I just think David Moyes deserves to be manager, and he's going to be the one West Ham player, not West Ham player, but West Ham affiliate. And I'm going to put the other one left back because I'm going to start left to right. So left back, I'm going to go Aaron Creswell.
I like Aaron Creswell.
Aaron Creswell, you get set pieces, you get delivery, you get steady defending. He can deputise as a left centre half as well.
Run his team on the screen, please, Chris.
You get consistency as well, don't you?
And you get consistency. And the other centre half next to him, I'm going to pick a Tottenham player. I'm going to pick Romero.
Okay.
You can literally see it on screen now. Romero, absolutely solid, one of the best defenders in the Serie A. A couple years ago, I know he's been a little bit shaky to start the season.
Right, my team absolutely trounced.
Nah, you know what it is? All right, I'll preface. Do you know what it is? I'm going to preface it by saying I absolutely refuse to pick any Arsenal players in any 11 that I do.
I don't think Arsenal players improve this team.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel
yeah,
like
they would have.
By looking at that clip, that picture already, I feel like there's only one winner.
No, but you're only saying that because you didn't know who Anderson was.
Hey, I thought you meant United's Brazilian midfielder.
You didn't know who.
I didn't.
Do you know what
I know you're on about now. I just thought, who's Anderson? When you just see a name there.
Nah, you know what I mean? So put Anderson and Romero as a centre back.
Anderson should be known on the basis of what he did to Nunes a couple of weeks ago alone.
And also he's been really good, and he was insane against Arsenal in the first game as well. He's got good distribution. He's solid in the air, and if I'm looking at South and I'm going to pick one of the Palace players out of the two, I'm going to pick Anderson because he's been one of the best.
It's a really interesting split, isn't it? When you look at the way the teams have gone, that they are, if you include the Midlands, it's a full split, 10 each side. So it's fairly fair.
Yeah, it's fairish, but I do feel like I'm not going to complain. So centre half partners are going to be Anderson and Romero, and then right back I went for Reece James, who are
probably the best player in your team. Looking at what I've
probably
seen
best.
So far.
Nah, I think he's also the best right back in the country. I think he should be starting right back for England. I think he's borderline Chelsea's best player at the moment, and I think Reece James is an absolute shoo-in. at right back, and I think he's going to be better than any right back that you put on your team.
I'm interested to see you put right back. As
Do you know
well.
what I
So
mean?
I know one player who it definitely isn't going to be.
You're probably right.
I've sort of now. I've gone for a Brexit 4-4-2 as well. So the centre midfielders I've gone.
You're
for,
playing David. You've got David Moyes as your manager.
Exactly. So I've gone for Declan Rice and Kovacic as the two midfielders, as the midfield pivot. Kovacic, I think, is extremely underrated. I think he's an absolute baller.
I agree.
I think he's been limited by Chelsea, their system, and their love for Jorginho, if I'm honest.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But I think he's an absolute player. And I've gone for Zaha on the left. I think he's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season, based on form.
He is playing well.
He's been playing amazingly. Right wing was a difficult one after already picking players for bigger teams, but I have gone for Trossard from Brighton. I think he's also one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. He's not exactly what you'd say a star or is going to look lucrative on a 11, but in terms of actually playing ability and what he's done, he's definitely been one of the better players for a while now, and he's been one of the main reasons that Brighton have been pulling up trees this season.
Yeah.
I've gone for Trossard on the right, and then up front I've gone for
Potency.
Harry
They
Kane.
might even work together in all that.
I think they'd work brilliantly together. Harry Kane and Ivan Toney. But it's interesting with Ivan Toney because Ivan Toney this season actually does similar things to Harry Kane. Toney has become a little bit more of a player that does drop a little bit deeper and then plays in well. So, but that's basically me running through my quick 4-4-2. I've also put Sanchez in goal. I missed that out. Distribution, command of his area, solid keeper, and that's my Southern 11 with no Arsenal players because Arsenal players are shite.
Here's a question for you: If Potter hadn't gone to Chelsea, would you pick him over Moyes as your manager?
Who?
Potter. If he didn't go to Chelsea, would you have picked him over Moyes?
Probably, but then I would have to take a player out.
Is that
obviously
part of the
because I
rules?
chose two Brighton players?
Yeah.
I've chose David Moyes because it was the same rules for the managers. If you're doing the manager, you can only that counts as one of the affiliates for the teams.
Yeah, okay. I think you justified that team quite well. I think when I saw it straight away, you just thought, why is Trossard in there?
Now the thing is, Erwin Peterson's just said that Zaha has been all flash and all finish though. That has been a lie. He's actually scored quite a few this season.
All right, let's have a look at the winners then. So here's Steve's team representing the North.
Come on. I mean,
why are you laughing? I don't know what you're laughing.
Why am I laughing?
Listen.
Look at it. Think about it. Acknowledge how much better that team is than yours. Pope in net, one of the better goalkeepers in the country.
Sorry, I've got some. So he said Pope in net. Listen.
Van Dijk and Martinez.
Van Dijk?
Good.
So you've got one of the worst centre-halves in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, he's not the worst, is he? He's not in good form. But ultimately, Van Dijk and Martinez, hell of a back two. I've got Luca Dean, left back. And I've got Trippier. You say, who's one of the most informed right backs in the country? No, well, Kieran Trippier, actually.
He's taking
I like Luca Dean, yeah, but Luca Dean has also been someone that's fell off a cliff a little bit in terms of form-wise. I'm not going to lie, Dino is probably a little bit of a dodgy one.
He's the only player in Villa that doesn't look like absolute arse at the moment.
I think they all look like arse, to be honest.
Didn't fancy Trent.
Steven Gerrard effect.
Shut up. Are you mad? Right, let's have a look at the midfield. Ndidi, Kevin De Bruyne and Neves. Mate, if you could actually get that out, mate.
It's good balance there, isn't it? The balance in that midfield is kind of perfect, actually. And then look at that front three ahead of them.
Nah, the thing is with
Sancho,
Neves,
Salah, Haaland.
The thing is with Neves and De Bruyne, yeah, that's unarguable. Ndidi, you're probably basing it off 2019 Ndidi, not 2022.
Ndidi's, he's dealing with like 9 players in his team really at the moment, isn't it? So it's one of those. But you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's very self-explanatory, that team. It just, I don't even think I need to say who the winner is. But before we decide who the winner is, let's have a word from our sponsors.
I actually argue you could have put Bruno Guimaraes instead of Ndidi. Shot the ball there. Oh shit, you had Pope already. Pope and Trippier. Fez.
Yeah, the rules. I know some people are in the comments saying we can only pick 2 from each team. Listen, Cancelo would have been there in a heartbeat, but I think you're getting a bit more out of De Bruyne, and you can imagine not picking Haaland. Imagine not picking
If you had to
Haaland.
pick
You
a
could've
right back
picked,
for England, would you pick Kieran Trippier or Trent?
Trippier.
No, because in my head, I'm playing Trippier possibly left back, in all honesty. But if they're going to play a back three, yeah.
Ashley Young in?
Ashley Young, yeah.
He's got off the left. He's played on the left. And there's no one else on the left. I'm playing Reece James, though.
Putting Kieran Trippier left back completely diminishes what he's good at, which is
No, it's still on there.
right
It's still on there for free kicks.
You lose his crossing ability putting him on the left.
Can Ashley Young get off the right hand side, can he? Off the left hand side?
But you hate that.
I do hate that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think ultimately Cancelo would have gone in there, but like you can't not play De Bruyne and you can't not play Haaland.
See, this
City have just got a handful. Like I wanted to squeeze Thiago in there somewhere as well, to be honest, because I would if I was putting a team together, I'd want Thiago in there.
I look at
He's
Liverpool
a hell of
without
a
him.
player. Yeah,
Look at them right now, and who's missing? Thiago.
The thing is, you've not gone through your front three, bro, and
I don't need to.
You've not mentioned your manager.
I'm the manager.
Oh yeah, you're the manager.
Yep.
Who's you manage in the?
You're not a
North of the
Premier League manager.
Yeah, therefore I
Paddock.
don't go off any tally on there, but I do manage in the North.
To be fair, you didn't say it has to be a Premier League. We just said it's
done it
like
there.
North and South.
North versus
Stretford
South.
Paddock
I'm
are a
not gonna
northern
lie.
team.
Not gonna lie. If you refer
In the pyramid.
not gonna lie,
Yeah.
Dre. If you refer to the title, it's a Premier League All Star. It's North and South.
I didn't write the
Yeah,
title.
I can see a little Paddock badge somewhere in the background. There, in the film. Just a little one somewhere. Should we have a look at what our sponsors have got to say?
Yep. All right, here's this week's sponsor. Summer is coming and the sun is shining, shirts are off and your balls are smooth. You heard that right. Your friends at Manscaped are here to make your beach balls as smooth as Floridian sand. In summer, you want to kill some cold beers and the barbecues and not kill the vibe with your pubes peeping out all over your shorts. And that's why Manscaped has got the Performance Package 4.0 to keep the party in your pants looking crisp and refreshing all summer. Dive headfirst into summer by joining the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com where you can get 20% off and free shipping using the code XG20. All right, we were just talking about why the Sam was a load of old ass.
My mic wasn't plugged in.
Get your questions in, and we will get into some of your questions. Jamie Gillespie says, instead of an all-star game, I'd rather the Community Shield became a mini tournament with the previous season's top four.
There's just not enough time for these things.
Yeah, a tournament, mate.
And then the other, like we said, the other argument is, let's do, instead of the Community Shield, let's do this all-star game. But like, how are you going to organise that? How are like all the clubs going to like decide who's doing this, who's doing that, blah, 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 blah. You just can't do it. You can't do it in pre-season because all these teams are all over the gaff. You've got some in Asia, some in America, some in South America. It just doesn't work. The idea of it is great.
There's only one idea, and it's a very American idea in principle, but not that it's someone that I saw that was American that came up with it. James Alcott was who I saw come up with it. And he proposes that the top three qualify for the Champions League.
Okay.
4, 5, 6, and 7 go into a playoff for the 4th Champions League spot, the other 3 going to the Europa League. I can't find a way to hate that apart from the length of time it would take. But I actually think because the clubs would be competing for something that they genuinely want, i.e. Champions League spot, I think the clubs would be okay with that. And he says he's seen it himself when he was in the Championship with QPR, that you could be 12th with 6 games to go and go, we put a run together, we can get 7th.
Yeah.
So it keeps the middle of the league alive.
But it also, if I've had a consistent season to finish 4th and someone below me has been ordinary and they've basically had a late spurt to come 4 places below you, and it could be a 15-point difference, why should they then have an equal opportunity as me to qualify for the Champions League?
Because ultimately, you shouldn't be coming 4th and getting in the Champions League anyway.
Because that's what happens.
Really?
That's obviously what happens sometimes in the Championship. When they would have had, can someone tell me where Nottingham Forest finished? Because I know that they didn't finish. They finished, I think Sheffield United might have been the one that was third. And then
very often the team that sneaks into the playoffs last goes through and wins it because of momentum and confidence and all that lot. I think it would add an extra dynamic to the season.
And think about the year before Brentford came up, they on the last day of the season, they missed out on automatic promotion and then just bottled it in the playoffs. So it is the momentum
that you drop into the top end of the playoffs versus the team that's coming in like, yes, we've made it. Like the disappointment of not getting automatic and then, oh shit, we've got to go through the playoffs. The two dynamics coming into that, I think it'd be fascinating.
Exactly. Nottingham Forest finished 6th last season in the Championship. I know that he played Sheffield United, who finished 3rd, and he beat him in the playoffs. I think that might have been in the playoff semi-final. And I just think it doesn't reward league form.
Nah, like imagine.
Do you know what I mean?
Imagine like I know they do it.
No, I get that. I do get that, but I do think that I'm not sitting here calling for it. I'm just saying in terms of like mixing up the formats because I'm a rugby league fan, right? Salford are in the semi-final this weekend against St Helens. Probably going to lose, which it gives us the opportunity to get to the grand final again for the second time in my lifetime and like second time in 3 years. Bonkers. But rugby league can't stop fucking with the format. I'm a rugby league fan. From one year to the next, I don't know what the rules are because they have to change it every year. Sometimes it's a top 8. There's only 12 in the league. 8 of you get into the playoffs. What the fuck's this shit? No. When it originally started, there was 12 teams in the Super League. The top 5 went into a playoff. You came first, you got a week off, and then like second through 5th played each other. And then you got to play the team that finished the lowest in the next round, and then that was like a semis, and then it was a final. And they had that for years, and it was fine. And then someone at the RFL was like, "This is working too well. Let's fuck with it." And they started messing around with it. I don't want it to get to the stage where football just makes mad rule changes for the sake of it. And I don't like necessarily the idea of like Todd Boehly also suggested a playoff for coming bottom of the league. I could definitely see a playoff bottom of the league being a big money spinner, no doubt whatsoever. But I'm not necessarily sure that I think that's as good an idea as it would be for 4th.
Do you mean bottom of the league as in like you stay up if you win it?
Yeah, if you did like the team that finishes 20th, 19th, 18th, that's your 3 automatics usually. What about the team that finishes 17th?
Oh, okay, 17th.
But with the Champions League, aren't UEFA already looking at branching out the amount of teams anyway? So increasing the
I'm not sure if
they are, but it's to do. It's to remember they're doing that thing where
countries.
like no, it's that, but it's also if you're a big club that misses out for whatever reason, and you're like club coefficient or something, or your club history is of a certain level, you qualify anyway. They're doing that, I think, for 2 teams.
A little bit
it's
Super
League-ish. It's Super League-y. Yeah, you are right.
Bit Super League smelling,
but it's just a taste of it. It's just a hint of it to see if we like it. I mean, it'll probably benefit United. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure
what if 7th, 8th get Champions League out of luck in the tournament and get battered in the Champions League? The truth is, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, another problem with that James Alcott thing is like, what if, say, the team that finishes 6th wins the Europa League? Do they then like what happens to that little tournament? Do they drop out and then the team who finished 8th go up to it or 9th? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could work. It'd be entertaining, but then you're then sacrificing, the last day of the season when it's all close and you think who's going to get 4th. That just doesn't really matter. So something always gives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they'd be focusing on the relegation, who's the champions.
Yeah.
Someone swapping from 3rd to 4th maybe. Like those things would still be there. I think.
All right. So the player acknowledgement thing is where everything that's being described, it points towards more games for the players.
It's just not enough, is it? Like 65.
Like there isn't enough already. Like it's already extremely physically demanding. It seems that the summer is getting narrower and narrower in terms of when footballers actually have time off. And then every single year you're hearing stuff being put forward to increase the number of games that players are going to be playing. It's like
because we fucking love it and we want more of it.
But you got to think about the players.
International governing bodies want more international stuff. They're talking about expanding the World Cup. That's just going to mean more games there. The Champions League wants to continually expand. It's grown large in size from its initial you had to be the champions to be in it. Then it was like we'll have a couple from each country.
Well, it's completely
There's
changing next year, isn't it?
Coming in, yeah.
Because it's all like a league format, isn't it? Next year, and you play a certain thing. I think that I'm not saying it's going to work, but I think it'll be interesting because I know we're in the Europa League now, but how shit is the Europa League group stage? It is so shit.
Could be worse. Could be Europa Conference where you're googling if some teams even fucking exist.
Oh yeah, you got teams with dashes and that in their name and stuff. Punctual.
Peter Kelly there says in Tyrone, GAA leagues do bottom go straight down, second, third playoff with bottom third home advantage. Loser goes down, winner plays whoever wins the playoff in the league below. I've seen that somewhere else before as well, where the relegated team plays the promoted team in like a playoff. I wouldn't fuck with the format too long. I think the English football pyramid, as it is, especially with they did a little bit of restructuring around step 5, I think it was. They added like an extra league in each of the areas. So now like, obviously you come down from the Premier League, it's linear down to conference, or the National League as it's now known, and then it starts splitting, doesn't it? And it goes then from Conference North, Conference South. Then it splits. Is there 3 or 4 leagues at that point? You got Northern Prem, you got Isthmian, you got Southern Prem. Is there another one as well? I feel like there's another one.
No, I think it's just those 3.
But then it splits again underneath that, and it splits again before you get to like where we are now. Like there's fucking 20 leagues all in a line, all at the same level. I think that the way that system works, of X number go up, X number come down, X number in a playoff, linear right the way through the league system is a positive thing and probably shouldn't be fucked with.
Yeah, I just think that, like, the Premier League is the flagship football league in the world. It's so popular, one of the most watched sports leagues in the world. We don't really need to be changing things. Do you know what I mean?
It's just the old adage, innit? If it's not broke,
yeah, innit?
Why fix it? But it's just, this seems to be a relatively new phenomenon where there's things being proposed every couple months or so.
I think you will probably see an increase in squad sizes to cope with those demands.
Yeah. Do you think
needs to be
these proposals is a result of, obviously it's largely financial, but is it to do with the increase of American owners in the sport and their kind of, because I know you are going to touch on it, but
yeah, without giving away next week's video,
spent an hour researching it.
There's a lot of things driving, I think, the American influx of ownership. But it's not just American influx. No, there's businessmen from all over the world that are interested in getting in the mixer. There's a couple of main differences, though. I believe the American owners, my take on it is that American owners are coming here to try and make a profit, whereas some of the other successful ownership models that we've seen, and I say successful, I'm going to do that, Manchester City's ownership would probably be considered successful, not from a financial point of view if you're Sheikh Mansour, because clearly it's just been him pouring money into something and never seeing any of it back, despite what the cookbooks say. Roman Abramovich being the same. He's just poured money into Chelsea and then dipped. Like,
he didn't exactly dip.
Well, he was asked to dip. But,
please dip.
You know what I mean?
The Qatari model at PSG is just pouring money in. Like, fundamentally, the English football pyramid does not make money. It is a loss product. So, and any money that comes in, literally any penny that comes in, is taken by an agent, a transfer fee, or a wage.
Well, we know that's true based on the Super League, making it a closed shop. The guaranteed payments every single year. It doesn't matter where you finish in the Premier League. That literally is proof of what you just said. And I think the thing is, and this is an important thing, we all think, it's the American owners. But yeah, it was the American owners, like a lot of American owners. But it was also Barcelona's owners. It was also Juventus's owners. It was also Real Madrid's owners, Bayern Munich. I know you could argue, maybe they just did it because they had no choice.
Didn't Perez come out and be like, yeah, we're doing it again. We're doing it.
Perez is the one guy who was like, this is not gone. Straight after, when everything was going on in England, all the protests and everyone pulling out saying, we're sorry, blah, 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 blah. Perez is like,
I did.
This is carrying on.
He didn't care, did he? Todd Boehly's apparently.
He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. And our mate Todd's already basically said that the Super League isn't going away, it's just hibernating at the moment.
I don't even necessarily think it's hibernating.
Did he say that?
I almost wonder if the European Super League thing was a false flag for the shit changes that have actually come in the Champions League.
Predictees kind of thing.
No, I think there was like, look at this absolute car crash of an idea with the European Super League. And everyone's like, no, you can't get rid of that. We've got the Champions League and it's a meritocracy and you have to qualify for it and it's been working perfectly for 30 fucking years. What are you doing? And they went, all right then, there's the rule changes for the Champions League.
So basically almost dampens the reaction because they've already seen the worst.
Yeah, have you actually seen the rule changes? They basically made the Super League. Like historical performance. It's not.
Sounds like
it's not entirely locking it in the way the Super League was gonna. Like,
it's just
you're a founder member,
card.
you're never gonna.
Sounds like 3D chess.
Are you telling me a company wouldn't put out a mega shit idea to make you swallow their really shit idea?
I actually believed when they put that idea forward, they actually thought there was a possibility it could have happened there and then.
Yeah, because they were working on it for a long, long time.
Do you know what I mean? The Super League's just never ever going to be a good idea, but it's also the scary fact that I don't see a situation where 10, 15 years down the line, it's not near enough happened.
It's inevitable, isn't it, sometimes? And like you said, it will just take a while. It will slowly change.
When you look at the NFL, the fact that it's a closed shop, was it 32 teams?
Yeah.
32 teams, closed shop in the NFL. Do you know who makes money out of them?
The franchises.
They all do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if there's any that make a loss, but for the large part, when you take into account that probably none of the 92 professional clubs in England make a profit, at least most of the clubs, I would say 20 of the 32, and it might even be 32 or 32, make a profit. And the profits are starting at anywhere from $60 million for a smaller team. Give me a smaller team.
In the NFL. That's the thing. It's hard to say smaller team because there really isn't any because of the parity. Like, there's teams that are less successful, but in terms of smaller...
Well, there's some that have relatively minuscule turnover compared to...
Dallas Cowboys. The more successful teams.
I'd say in the NFL, I'd probably say...
Well, actually, the most financially successful team is Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, $466 million
they're not a successful team.
Profit.
Not even historically.
Not won anything for 30 years.
They're not successful. Basically, if I was going to talk about smaller franchises within the NFL, you're probably looking at like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Someone along those lines probably makes 60, 75 million profit. Not turnover, profit, right? The Cowboys are turning over in excess of $1 billion. They only play 17 fucking games a year. And they have £460 million profit yearly.
But what it is like when you have a closed shop and you don't have to worry about getting Champions League, you don't have to worry about getting relegated, you can focus your attention on long-term economic strategy. And that's why that closed shop leads to what you've just said. And why the Super League is what these owners wanted.
That's because if the American sports or the NFL was kind of run the way that it is in European football, the Dallas Cowboys wouldn't be able to be 25 years winless in terms of any sort of success, Super Bowls, even an NFC championship. They wouldn't be able to still be the most richest and lucrative franchise in the whole of sport. There's not a franchise or any type of club in sport that's more wealthier than the Dallas Cowboys in terms of what they earn, but they don't have any success to back that up.
It's insane.
That's insane, but it can happen because of how the NFL and American sports are run.
And again, without crucifying the video I'm going to put out next week, I think that's a large driver for why we see a lot of American owners, because the NFL is so universally profitable for every single owner of an NFL club. This is the sport that they know. A lot of them literally own another NFL club or a part stake in an NFL club. Obviously, Kroenke's the Rams. You've got the Glazers with the Bucks. I think there's been other owners that I think have had stuff to do with NFL teams. Obviously, you've got FSG on the Boston Red Sox. I don't know. I've not looked yet into the details of how much the Boston Red Sox make, but I imagine they make a profit, as it seems like most American sports actually do run a massive profit. Obviously, there's things in place that you're never going to see, unless that was something that Super League brought in, things like salary caps and this, that, and the other. But because football is operating across multiple countries, multiple continents, it's so hard to police. You go, right, okay, Premier League's got a salary cap. Everyone's just gone and signed for Serie A teams. Shit. Yeah, that's true. Right. Okay, anyone in the Champions League has got a salary cap. Then they all go to China. Or Ali or somewhere like that. Like, it's too much of a free market. So the only way it can exist is by being the capitalist sort of arms race that it's become, where transfer fees go bananas, wages.
Do you know I've explained what you just talked about with the what a salary cap would do for players being less likely to come to the Premier League? That is probably something that the rest of Europe would be hopeful for, because isn't a lot of the talk being about how the Premier League is becoming further and further and further away financially than the rest of the Europe top five?
The only teams that can compete, Bayern Munich, massive fish in a relatively small pond in Germany. Juventus have not recently, but pretty much had their own way with Italian football for a long time. You've got the duopoly, which occasionally gets split up, but not very often, by Atletico Madrid, who, I mean, they're spending 36 million on their manager a year. Like, they're not exactly doing it on the cheap. And then you've got the Qatari-backed Paris Saint-Germain in Paris, where it's literally a farmers' league that they're the only fish in there. They still can't win the league every single season. Pouring money into that. So, the odds of it isn't what it used to be in the 70s, 80s, the 60s. No, European football. Like, you're not going to get Benfica, be an excellent Portuguese team, get to the final of the Champions League.
The talk was like how Nottingham Forest, we could get up. How much did they spend? They probably outspended.
Oh my good God! Yeah.
They probably outspended
a lot of teams. 95%
of the teams in the rest of Europe.
Yeah,
and they're a newly promoted team to the Premier League that were in the Championship last year. The cumulative spending of the Premier League this transfer window was in another stratosphere to the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
Probably more than the rest of Europe combined, and that's what they're looking at, thinking that's probably an issue.
Yeah.
In some way or another. The Premier League seems to be getting richer and richer, and then the rest of the can't catch up. They probably are getting richer. I'm not sure if it is profitable in those other clubs.
It won't be at the same rate, will
It's just not the same rate.
And it's almost like the only way you can bump up like another league to compete and get into like that top five is through rich people buying smaller clubs. But they're not gonna. They're gonna buy teams like, for example, Portugal. Is someone really, really, really rich gonna buy Benfica? Probably not.
They should.
They should, but they're not. They're buying Newcastle.
It costs 3-4 billion to buy Chelsea. Why not spend 200 million buying Benfica? Spend 1 billion extending the amazing scouting network they've already got. Completely run.
Yeah, but
Portugal.
But the problem is they just become PSG in France. Do you know what I mean?
PSG get into finals.
Yeah, but PSG are solely focused on the Champions League because their domestic league is just so poor in comparison to other leagues in Europe.
But it depends what your motive is as an owner. Do you want to, if you're an owner and you say, I want to win the Champions League, and let's say I've got 5 billion, I'm going to tell you the best way you're going to do that is to buy Ajax or to buy Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, someone like that.
But why is that different to buying PSG?
Because Sunstridge just said Ajax spent over 100 million and were only 15th in total spend. 10 of the 14 teams that spent the most in Europe this were Premier League teams.
Of course it was, yeah.
So it's like, but obviously with the financial fair play thing, Premier League teams are allowed to do that because all the deals are going to Premier League teams because it's just seen as more lucrative.
Yeah.
And that is partly the main reason why the likes of Perez want the Super League to happen so much.
So they can start competing again. But
yeah,
basically, they're not spending
because it means they don't have to worry about competing.
But they're seeing the money kind of being generated in the Premier League and how it's raising. And I don't think if you're the president of Real Madrid...
It's still cool. Like, if you're Real Madrid, you're Barcelona, you're still competing for the La Liga every week. You've got teams in... Italy looks a little bit more normal at the moment.
Yeah, it does, actually. It's quite competitive, actually.
When you look at the state of the Premier League, you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to spend $1 billion on my 11 to get close to City.
To stay up.
Stay up.
like Forest.
From Joe, says it's an interesting dynamic between playoffs in American sports compared to playoffs in European football, because in hockey the playoffs are a timeless beloved tradition, but in Europe playoffs are understandably protested.
But if it's part of the culture and it's tradition, that makes sense that people love it. But like, it's not part of the tradition and culture in this country. So it goes against it.
Joe, we used to decide on games before penalties. Toss of a coin.
Bring
back the traditions.
Who's calling it? He's like, Ronaldo's the best at calling heads or tails. Get him on the coin toss. Can you imagine there's like a stat on FIFA, coin toss, 94.
Should have just been goal and goal.
Should be what?
I think golden goal would be good.
If it just could go on.
Well, golden goal came in, didn't it, for a minute, and then then it was silver goal, which meant that they had to the end of that extra time half, and if your goal would then count. But there was the golden goal was good because it was that moment when it hits the back of the net. We celebrate. Didn't we have one in Euro '96?
No, it was Euro 2000.
I don't know. I wasn't born
Euro
then,
2000. Trezeguet scored against Italy in extra time.
Were you born then?
Euro 2000, Italy-France final. Trezeguet scored a golden goal to win.
Wasn't there one in one of the semis though?
I don't know.
But to make it more interesting, they should make it like, because golden goal could go on forever. It has to be like a 9 versus 9 or something.
Well, yeah,
Just like
you start taking a player off every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, another player.
Didn't they do that in the Wembley
fun.
Cup?
Did they?
I think they did something like that where like every 5
Imagine
minutes
it ends
they
up a
lost
1v1.
player.
full pitch.
We should do that.
The goalies.
What rule can we amend that would make football better?
Oh, get your comments in.
Golden goal.
comment about that.
Golden goal, but every 5 minutes of the half an hour.
Right, hang on. Let's do a quick poll while we're live, right? Would you consider any rule coming in? Yes or no? Any new rule, and then we'll get into the specifics of it in the comments. Any new rules, and you go, yeah, I want them all on steroids.
Have one.
All right,
yeah.
okay. Or, okay, I say, no, I want unlimited subs. I want it like an NFL bench.
Have one game week where you don't use a football, you use a balloon.
Yeah.
It's like bang them.
So yes or no, there's a poll, but get in the comments as well. I want to know, yes, would you change any rule? If yes, obviously, what are you changing and why? Yeah, Germany, Czech Republic. I thought that. Yeah.
Was that Euro 96?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just made everyone go defensive, didn't it? So it just didn't work. Golden goal. People were too
Looks
scared.
like most people are saying yeah.
To what? Oh, the rules. Yeah.
Oh, you change the rule.
Someone says sin bins needed. That's in the lower end of football, isn't it?
Yeah, we get sin bins, but they're used for the correct sort of stuff.
Sin
Aren't they?
bins-
You go off to a referee,
Sin
set
bins,
10 minutes.
sin
out.
bins rugby league, isn't it? Kind of.
It's rugby league and rugby union, yeah, but it's a weird one that you get. You get it at lower league as well.
I think rugby
It's
league
getting
is weird
trialled,
because it's
though,
like sin bin for dissent because it's meant to be quite a gentlemanly of a game, funnily enough. But then punches are flying and only one
you
person
sometimes
gets
you'll
sent
get a
off.
sin bin for that sort
Yeah,
of
that
stuff.
is weird.
Rugby league will punish you with 10 yard further back if you gob off to the ref. And normally you'll end up with 20 because you'll be like, ref, that's a lot of bollocks. And he'll be like, boom, 10 yard. You'll be like, you fucking dick. And then it's 20 before you know it. Before one of your teammates are like, will you shut up?
Yeah.
Like, all right, soz.
Game
Someone said
cancelled.
penalty shootout instead of draws. If that was in play, then
the
Arsenal might have never been invincible.
What about if there's a way for games that this is an American thing, I think, isn't it? They have overtime or no games actually ending.
Yeah,
a draw.
nothing ends in a draw. Nothing.
So
Even like baseball. And
so let's say this weekend, one of the games 0-0, ball fest, penalty shootout. Now I think it's a penalty shootout to keep your point.
Well, so you get a point or you get 0 points.
Yeah.
Or
You turned up here, you 0-0'd the shit out of it. You can do one. You're not getting a point.
or you get 2 points, and the other team gets none. Because then you're like, I can get an extra point here.
That's interesting.
No drug testing, someone said.
I think the way the FA drug testing is at the moment is essentially no drug testing.
GAA, you
Allegedly.
get a black card for cynical fouls,
Allegedly.
which is a 10.
Allegedly.
Look, the FA covers up the failed drug test. We know this. We know that they do this. I'm not even saying allegedly because we know that they do this. So, like, if they're covering up failed drug tests, that's like saying, what's the point in drug testing?
Apparently, American football can end in a draw. There was one last weekend.
Who?
Basketball, though.
Oh,
it's
NFL.
like-
Yeah, NFL can be a draw, but it's a tie in it. But it's like they have an overtime. They have a bunch of arguments about their overtime rules because what it is the first person to score a touchdown wins in the overtime. But
It heavily favours you if you get the ball.
If you get the ball first. So what it is it goes into overtime and then it's heads or tails. And then whoever wins the token cost gets to choose whether they have it or not. And then if you get the ball first, and you score, then you win. But the thing is, the way they balance it out is you've got to score a touchdown to win if you get the ball first. If you don't score and then they get the ball, they only have to get a field goal at least.
Right,
so it's like
There's something like that in jiu-jitsu where the game, I think they have a one round. I think it's 20-minute round, might be 30-minute round. Eddie Bravo International has these weird rules, right? And then if it's ended in a tie, then what they'll do is they'll put you in. I've seen it, Chris. They'll put you in really compromising positions. So they might start with someone on your back. Can you then defend him, or can he finish off his back? And then, okay, Dre managed to choke me out in 35 seconds. Then I go on Dre's back, and it's like, right, if I can get it in quicker than 35 seconds, then I actually get it. But you're like, it's so complex.
There's the one that you should do a video on.
Which one?
Ban salbutamol.
No salbutamol. Well, it's obviously a medical need that some players in the northwest region that play in red have got.
On the coast.
The docks.
Where's the source of the River Mersey?
It's easy cover up in it when they get a supply. Wonder who the plug is.
No, I'm saying, where's the source of the River Mersey?
I don't know.
Manchester.
Is it like where?
Sale.
Is it?
Yep.
No, I swear it just passes through Sale.
It starts in Sale, I think.
Anyway.
Cheers to our sponsors, Manscaped. Go and sort your balls out, you absolute tramps. We get 20% off and free shipping if you want to do that. The link for that will be in the description. Keep commenting after the video finishes as well. I want to go and read some of your rule suggestions. We've got handball, a clock time I like in handball. I wouldn't mind a shot clock. That could be an interesting one.
You'd have to move the goals way closer, though. Imagine that.
Well, you can just shoot from anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, but...
Miking up refs, that's not a bad idea. Stop timer when everyone stops every time. When a game stops every time. Well, they're talking about doing that, aren't they? But only going to 60-minute halves or 60-minute matches, which I'm not necessarily against, because time wasting breaks me, honestly.
Yeah. What about shot clocks, but no keepers? Take the keepers out.
No, goalkeeping's an art.
No.
We had...
Just at the end.
Who was we playing? We were playing against a team. I think it was Moston Brook.
North side went in the box.
When
just
we were playing Moston Brook first season, and their goalkeeper was taking the piss with time wasting, and he was pretending to dig in the ground to take his goal kicks.
Were they playing a low block?
He was on a 4G pitch. Anyways, cheers for tuning in. Cheers to these two. Cheers to you lot. Make sure to subscribe if you're new.
By the way, Steve's team won out of the two.
I mean, obviously.
Listen,
What are you pulling your face at?
you know, at the end of the day, it's
Official.
funny that we did this video because a football match isn't won on paper.
Right.
It's
Whatever
organised
grass you
game.
want to put it on my team smoke shows. And Arsenal players wouldn't have made it any better either. Cheers for tuning in. See you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here.